it does not matter. You are not going to get good results until you learn to have your own edge. What exactly is a trading edge? I have some notes here and I want to discuss this very briefly. So let's get into it. So when we think about what a trading edge is, if you do a quick Google search, right, you would find multiple different websites actually covering what they think a trading edge is. And interestingly enough, they are all right. Now, what I actually think a trading edge is it is something that helps the trader to get good results based on his thinking and approach. This thing is always bespoke to the trader, and it cannot be taught and it cannot be transferred to other traders. All traders must develop their own edge. So, what I mean by this is you could literally listen to me tell you exactly what I would do in this scenario or what I would have done in that scenario. That does not mean that you would be able to replicate those results in scenarios that you'd be watching. Why? Because again, that's my edge. That's what works for me in the scenario that I like to watch. Does not mean that it's going to work for you. So some things to consider when you are trying to build your own edge. What markets to trade? This is simple. Do I want to trade gold? Do I want to trade forex pairs? Do I want to trade stocks, indices, commodities, stuff like wheat? All of these different things are markets that you have to consider in terms of what kind of edge you want to build for yourself. And this is things that you will develop over time. An edge is also something that cannot be developed in no time. It is something that you have to have experience with, and over time it slowly gets to show itself, right? Execution style, very important. We need to understand what kind of trade we want to take, right? Do we want to take a limit order? Do we want to use a buy stop? Do we want to execute by the market? Do we want to sit and watch it? Do we want to set it and forget it? These are different ways to execute, right? And very, very important in terms of building your edge. The next thing is speed and execution of the trade, right? The speed in terms of, do I want to get in and get out quickly? Do I want to get in and hold? Do I want to hold it for a day? Do I want to hold it long term, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Do I want to hold it for a year? Do I want to do long term investing? All of these are very important, right? Max risk. What is the max amount of money I am willing to lose on this given setup that would tell me, hey, this is enough? What is the max amount for you? What is that for you? What is that number for you? Your ideal reward. What do I want to make? What am I comfortable with making? Right? Some currencies, when related back to US or euros or yen or whatever, when you convert it to your own currency, it might be a completely different number. What am I comfortable with making? And when I get it, how do I get out of it? Do I take it right then and there? Do I want it to go just a little bit more? And all of these things are things you have to give into consideration, right? Ideal market conditions to trade. In other words, what is the setup? What am I actually asking the market to show me? What do I want to see? Do I want to see the market go here and then reject this? Or do I want to see the market just show momentum? Do I want to see the market showing a reversal? All of these things are things to consider in terms of your ideal conditions to trade. When to stop, also very important. How do I know when I've had enough? How do I know when I've had enough profit? How do I know when I've had enough loss? All right. So we spoke about max risk and ideal reward. Max risk is per trade, ideal reward is per trade. When to stop is when, here we're going on. I have enough money, I've made enough money for the day, or I've lost enough money for the day. You need to know for yourself. Nobody can tell you this. You need to know when to stop. Other personal criteria, such as context, and this is all based on context. Do I want to take a trade based on this specific retest zone? Right? Is this retest zone telling me something specific to this scenario? You see, and these are the things that people tend to omit when talking about mechanical strategy. Because you are not taking into account the specifics, you are now operating from a mindless place. Remember, this industry is an industry that is a dynamic place. It's ever changing, ever moving. And if you are operating from a perspective of where you can only make trades when you see this, what you are actually doing is you are not allowing yourself to make the best potential trades because, again, you're operating from a mindless perspective. What an edge, remember, I told you what an edge is. An edge, and I'm going to repeat what I think it is something that helps a trader to get good results based on his or her thinking and approach, not a strategy, not a pattern. It is your thinking and your approach. That is what it is. The last thing, context. All of these things that I just outlined here are heavily dependent on context, meaning some scenarios might be completely different to other scenarios. Why? Because these scenarios actually have different little nuances that you have to take into consideration. These scenarios, so for instance, what if I told you when you see the market come up here and it drop and it create this kind of candle, you should sell it. That is based on the current market structure. What if you see that exact thing that I just told you in a different market structure, but you still take the trade, right? That's because, again, you did not take into account what the market structure prior was actually telling you. And that is why most traders fail. It's also why trading is so hard to teach and it is so hard to learn because nobody thinks about the edge. And the edge is something bespoke to the trader. You cannot copy these details from another trader, and all of this data is specific to you and you alone. No one can teach you these details, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many people teach you, how many mentors you have, how many signals you take, how many mams and pams and account managements you do. It does not matter. You are not going to get good results until you learn to have your own edge. That is just the reality of the situation. It is by design. Anybody who does not agree with this is because you're still losing, unfortunately. Have a good one, guys. See you soon.